So, okay, I'll just start by telling you a little bit about us. Absolute IT, we've been around for coming up 20 years. We've got offices in Wellington, Auckland, Hamilton and Christchurch. We were an independently owned business up until 2016 when we were acquired by the AWF Madison Group. There's about 50 of us that work for Absolute IT across those offices. And there's just some websites and so on there that might be useful for anyone that might be looking for work or wants some info. And also we've got pages on Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, etc. So give us a follow. When I was asked to talk about the skills shortage, I went out to all of the consultants and candidate managers in our 4 offices and asked them where they felt there was a skills shortage, what the roles that they were struggling to fill. The most popular ones are here, but this is in no way all of them. There was a lot, basically. In fact, it would probably be easier to tell you where there's not a shortage than where there is. To be honest, the areas we're not really seeing such a shortage in skills is your traditional infrastructure roles, your systems engineering, systems administrators, your traditional keeping the lights on roles. And as Mike said, your more traditional PMs in the waterfall methodology and also manual testers and so on. So, but everything else, you can pretty much guarantee there's a shortage. Across our 4 offices, we do recruit the length and breadth of the country, and demand is outweighing supply in all of those areas. So at Absolute IT, we undertook a survey recently of 120 companies, and those 120 companies said they were looking to create 3,200 roles in the digital space in the next 2 years. Within that, there was 1,200 developers alone that were going to be needed just in those 120 companies. The same survey found the highest demand was likely to be for developers, data analytics, architecture and machine learning. So there's a bit of a snapshot there. So what's causing this skill shortage? Fundamentally, we just cannot keep up with the speed and scale of demand for IT and digital talent. And this is a global problem, not just a New Zealand problem. In fact, almost every developed nation has reported that demand is outweighing supply. More than 120,000 people were employed in the tech sector last year, and over 14,000 new jobs were created. Just over 5,000 tech students graduated in 2015, and 5,500 tech-related visas were granted in that period of time. So even not taking into consideration people retiring, leaving New Zealand, moving jobs, going out of the industry, you can see that that's a serious shortfall just in new jobs that are being created. The good news is full-time students studying comp science and similar are growing on average 3% each year, but saying that software programming roles are growing on average 14% a year. So growth good, but we're in no way still keeping up. And I don't believe that we're doing enough to grow our domestic talent pipeline either when it comes to people in New Zealand. There's a real lack of diversity in some areas. Women, Māori and Pacific are hugely underrepresented in the tech sector. Another big problem that we find is a lot of our clients, a lot of companies that we deal with lack knowledge around the immigration process. It's frustrating because they talk about the lack of talent, but if they just knew a bit more about how easy it could be, hiring offshore talent or people that were here without visas, then that would probably solve some of those problems. Companies as well aren't necessarily upskilling or reskilling their people. If they did that, they could enable people to move from the more traditional roles into the newer, more modern roles. This would obviously have the added benefit that they would have less staff turnover and maintain their talent, keep their IP. But the problem is there's the perception that there's not enough time to invest in this, and companies struggle to prioritise training and upskilling their people over BAU activities. I'm not sure it's not that I don't know the right subjects being taught, I just don't think that universities and other tertiary institutes can keep up with the pace that technology moves. The problem is by the time someone graduates, what they've learned is already potentially outdated. I personally sit on the advisory board of the IT advisory board of a private tertiary organisation, and part of our job is, I guess, to look at the curriculum and say, look, you shouldn't be teaching that. That's not relevant anymore. You need to be teaching this, and hopefully updating that so that their students are coming out of the programs with the right skills. I don't believe enough companies are offering internships or work experience either. The same tertiary institute that I work with really struggle year on year to find placements for their students, and yet these are the same companies that are complaining that they don't have any talent. I'll just give you an example. In 2016, NZ Tech surveyed 54 Auckland tech firms to gauge the sector's interest in working with secondary school students, and specifically whether there was support for a pilot program. The discussed program would provide pathways for secondary students studying ICT subjects into tech jobs through some form of internship. The response was positive, with 66% of respondents saying they would support an initiative to pilot an intern program for students. However, when the pilot was launched, only one firm offered to take one student, whereas 2 schools offered 66 students. So funnily enough, the pilot program was cancelled. So how do we tackle this shortage? I can talk about what we're doing personally in my business, or our business as recruiters. Initiatives such as Look-See that we're partnering with at the moment. This is an initiative that's addressing the IT talent shortage in New Zealand, and we're the only IT recruitment company partnering with them. It's an award-winning talent platform bringing global talent to New Zealand. So we've got exclusive access to pre-vetted people who are pretty much, they're wanting to move to New Zealand. They want to come here, they want to work. And New Zealand Immigration are also partnering in this. And these candidates have the skills and experience that are extremely hard to find. And Look-See are looking at bringing a number of these people monthly to interview, to do workshops, to see the country. So that's pretty cool. I do a lot of work personally around workshops for new migrants and graduates. So I've done a lot of work for the last 7-8 years with the Auckland Regional Migrant Service, running their IT workshops, helping around, this is how you prepare for an interview, this is how you put a good CV together, this is how you put a cover letter. And I've done the same thing around employability workshops at some of the universities as well, employment readiness. I think that more companies need to change their mindset around work experience and internships, as we mentioned. We need to encourage more diversity in the sector. And I think that we need to work with schools to encourage more children to get involved from IT from a young age, even from primary level upwards. So if there's a skills shortage, why do so many people struggle to find work still at the moment? And I think as recruiters, the best way we can help with the skills shortage is to empower job seekers with the knowledge they need to secure their perfect role. So as I mentioned before, I do a lot of work with new migrants. I do work with graduates and so on. If you don't know what you don't know, how do you know what the difference is in the New Zealand workplace culture? How do you know if you interview differently? It's I think collectively, if more of us could do that, it would help solve a lot of the issues that we've got around this, people struggling to find work. So a lot of people get rejected at the CV and cover letter stage. They could have the best skills in the world, but they're just not getting interviews. So spelling mistakes, grammatical mistakes, messy, poorly formatted CVs, I've seen it all and worse. And regardless of how good your skills and experience are, you're just not going to get a job if it's not up to scratch. I don't know if anyone knows, but the average time that a recruiter or hiring manager looks at a CV before they decide if they're going to take that further and read it properly is 6 seconds. I don't know if that's right or wrong, probably wrong, okay? I'd love to read them all, but the fact is if it looks bad, you're not going to take that further. So it's important to get that right. Why is a cover letter so important? Cover letter allows someone to target the job and the employer in a very specific way, in a more specific way than a CV can. It allows you to tell the potential employer why that job specifically attracts you and why you want to work for that company. It shows the employer you have good written and just written communication skills. And yeah, I guess the thing with that is if you're going to do a cover letter, take the time and do it right, or just don't do it at all. Regarding CVs, putting a good CV together takes time, but it's critical. It's what's going to get you to that interview stage if you're looking for work. Good CVs will stand out and have a clear and logical structure. In one quick glance, as we said, generally 6 seconds, you need to capture the attention of the person that's hiring and make them want to read further. You should make sure that a CV shows all of the key facts and the minimum requirements, shows that you have the right skills for the role. Make sure that if there's a job description and it's asking for certain skills, that they're clear on your CV, basically. Don't expect someone to be a mind reader. So if you are going to be looking for work, my top CV tips would be, keep it brief, ideally 2 to 3 pages. Not always easy if you've been working for a while. Tailor it for each role that you apply for. Now, by tailoring a CV, I don't mean make it up, change it to suit the job description, but if there are specific things that are asked for in a JD and you've done it but it's not on your CV, make it clear that you've done it. Put the specific skills they're looking for at the top before the less relevant skills. Use formal email addresses. I've seen some shockers. I won't tell you examples. And if you are going to use a photo, which I don't necessarily recommend, make sure it's a professional one. Again, I've seen some. That goes for LinkedIn as well, by the way. Use a professional photo. Check spelling and grammar. Get someone else to check it, and then check it again. And reduce the detail of your non-relevant work history. So if you had several jobs before you moved into technology, you don't need to put pages and pages about those. Focus on the relevant roles. Use fonts that are easy to read and don't use too many fonts. Again, I've seen it all. And what people don't always think about is applying for jobs when you see them. So you might see a role and see it closes in 10 days. If it's the job you want, tailor the CV and apply for it then. For example, if someone advertises a help desk role and says it closes in 10 days, I can guarantee you after the 200th CV that they receive in 2 days, that role is not going to close in 10 days. They will close that role early. So, and also if someone has 100 CVs and they find 10 brilliant people they want to interview within the first 20, the chances are they're not going to read the rest of them anyway. So if you like a job, apply for it. Alrighty. We've heard from this before, we've heard about this evening already. Soft skills and fit for an organisation are as, if not more important than technical capabilities. You can teach someone technical skills. It's a lot harder to teach them, soft skills. Companies here in NZ are smaller and roles are much broader than many parts of the world, and team fit is crucial. You could have the most amazing coding skills in the world, but if your interpersonal skills aren't a fit, then you won't be getting the job. There's jobs out there for everyone, so research the company, have a look if their values, what they do fits with your values. Also, I'll go back one. Clear and confident communication skills and the ability to communicate at all levels of a business are crucial. If you struggle, if you've moved to New Zealand and you struggle a little bit with your English, go out there, meet people, talk to people in English. Don't just talk in your own language. It's so easy to improve that, and your confidence. Build that confidence. Companies here want people who are truly passionate about technology, keep up with industry news, etc., which again we've already heard. People want a team player, someone who integrates with the rest of the team. Doesn't mean you have to go out for beers with them, 5 nights a week, but people that get on in the team, and people that are willing to take on duties outside of their core roles. Finally, I just want to say preparation if you're looking for work is key. If you've got an interview, prepare. Research the heck out of that company. Google is your friend. You need to know what that company does. You need to know what their products are. You need to be able to answer the question, which you will get asked, why do you want to work for this company, or why do you want this job? If you can't answer that, forget it. You're not getting that job. However, remember they will research you too. So be careful with your social media. Lock down your Facebook if some things you wouldn't want people to see. I'm sure no one here's got that. Prepare for how to get to your interview. Traffic here is terrible, public transport's terrible. Do a trial run. Don't turn up 15 minutes late, it's pretty hard to recover from that. And prepare questions for the person that's interviewing you. Nothing kills an interview quicker than at the end of it, you know, have you got any questions for me? No. It's not hard. If you want some questions that you should ask, come ask. I'm happy to help with that. And 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, I'm done.